Hey everybody. So today is a story time slash rant. I had a very eye-opening experience at work today. Um, so basically, a I would say girl because she seemed like younger, but I'll just say woman just in case. But this young woman came up to me and asked me if I could help her color match a foundation and find a foundation for her. And she, she was a black woman. She wasn't super dark, but she also wasn't light skinned. Her she she had a neutral undertone to her skin, which is important. I'll explain that in a minute. But she was relatively dark, neutral undertone to her skin. And I won't lie, I am very inexperienced when it comes to color matching other people. It is a skill that I am working on currently at my job. I am happy to help people. It's just a matter of if they have the patience to accept my help. Just because of my lack of experience, it might take me a little longer to color match. But I really do try. You know, uh, so I'm inexperienced and, I am a pale person. So as much as I try to be able to color match all of our clientele, I do have some experience, color matching some olive tones, some like medium skin tones, nothing super dark. Um, I don't have a lot of experience with color matching black skin, various shades of, darker colors. It's still something I'm working on. So I was very happy to help this woman. She specifically said like, "Hey, can you color match me in Maybelline Fit Me? I like that foundation. Someone used makeup artist used it on me, and I want to use it on myself." She admitted that she was inexperienced with makeup in general. She said that the only time she's worn makeup in the past is basically it was done, whether it was professionally done or just somebody else did it for her. That was her main experience with makeup, was it being applied by somebody else. So she was a beginner, and all she wanted was a simple foundation, a concealer, a setting powder, and that was it. She really just wanted the basics for her face. She said she didn't know how to do eyeliner. Um, she didn't want to go crazy. She just wanted a nice uh, base as far as face products. She wanted her skin to look nice, long story short. So I tried color matching her in the Maybelline Fit Me. I tried about three or four colors, I'd say. And I don't know what color the makeup artist used on her when they did her makeup, but I struggled very, very much to match her in the Maybelline. Um, because I realized that because her skin had a neutral undertone, the darker tones in the Maybelline Fit Me were very red, like red brown, very warm, very red based. So it was too orangey on her, basically. Um, And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, these don't really match you. Like, do you happen to remember the shade name of what the person used on you? And she was like, no, unfortunately, I don't. Um, and there was a color that she, like, ballparked herself at. And unfortunately, we were sold out of that particular shade. But even just, like, looking at the tester, I was like, I don't know if that's it. So basically, Maybelline was a bust. Um, Red Browns just, it didn't work out. Move on to L'Oreal True Match. Um, Kind of the same thing. They had a bit more variety as far as like deep, dark tones, but this particular woman, like her color wasn't there. And she also mentioned to me that she didn't like the L'Oreal True Match formula, which I can agree with her. I think it's very thin, very watery, doesn't work for everyone. Um, so then I proceeded to move on to NYX because I said, you know what? I love the Can't Stop, Won't Stop foundation. It's fucking sick. I love the formula. So I'm talking to her about it, and then we walk up to the NYX area, and I'm looking at the shade range for Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And again, red brown. No deep neutral, no, you know, like ebony or like just nothing but red browns. These orangey red, like, I kept trying to show her formulas that I liked or could at least recommend. And guys, nobody had her color. I I must have done like 4 or 5 swatches for Maybelline to try to find something for her. I would say like 3 L'Oreal's, just because you could tell by looking at the bottle it just wasn't going to work out. I didn't even try to color match her with the NYX because there was nothing deeper than like fake tan color. Like they had no deep shades. And I was like, and I felt so fucking bad. And I felt the pressure to find a color for her because you could tell she was slightly discouraged. She had an upbeat attitude. She was very patient with me, trying to help her. And I even said to her, I apologize if I swatch a few colors. I'm just trying to ballpark it. I am relatively new at color matching. I appreciate your patience. If you want someone else to help you, I'm happy to go get somebody. Don't worry about offending me. Like, I just want you, I want you to find your color. And she was like, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. Like, very, very kind, very, very patient. And she was appreciative of the effort I was trying to put in. But needless to say, I got frustrated and I said, you know what? Juvia's Place. And you guys, I did 2 swatches, 2 different colors. Second time I found her color. Juvia's Place. A Black-owned brand. A very gorgeous, beautifully made Black-owned brand. Packaging gorgeous, formulas incredible, shade ranges out of this world. Like, I found her a foundation and concealer in like, less than 5 minutes. Like, as soon as I went over to Juvia's Place, I was able to like immediately pinpoint her shade range, like to choose from. Especially because, as I mentioned, she had a neutral undertone, and that's really important because, her skin wasn't that red brown that all these fucking brands seem to think that all black people are red brown and that's it. And, I color matched her in Juvia's Place. She was really excited. I helped her find a really nice setting powder. Um, but I helped her for a total of a half an hour, 30 minutes. And in the last 6 minutes of that time, I found everything she was looking for because I went over to Juvia's Place. This was such an eye-opening experience for me because I didn't want to just keep trying shades and just come up with failures because you could clearly see by the bottles her shade wasn't there. And I was so worried because I didn't want her to feel discouraged or self-conscious or anything. I just wanted to help her find a fucking foundation. And it was eye-opening because I've always heard and acknowledged that deeper skin tones, such as, black skin or, just deeper tones, get absolutely fucked in every brand almost. All these color ranges that claim to be inclusive, but they stop at brown red. Multiple colors that are similar, but they pretend that it's oh, we have, we're inclusive. We have all these shades for brown skin. And it's no, you don't. No, you don't. That is brown red. That is 6 different shades of brown red. And you're going to sit there and tell me that those are for deeper skin tones. Juvia's Place is an incredible brand for all skin tones. They are truly, truly inclusive. And their colors are very carefully chosen. Their shade range is very large. As I've talked about in other videos, as much as I love Juvia's Place, my recommendation, my warning is to get color matched in the store just to really make sure, because there's so many shades. It's very easy to pick the wrong one based on Ulta's website or just trying to buy it online or looking at it at a quick glance without actually swatching it on your skin. The shade range is just too large to take the chance. You should always color match yourself in the store when it comes to a Juvia's Place foundation. Anyway, so the shade range that Juvia's Place provides is stunning. It is truly inclusive. From pale to very, very deep. They got you covered. Completely. It is a Black-owned brand. So, obviously, their color choices are going to be more... I don't want to keep saying inclusive, but truly, there's not one black skin tone, and not everybody's fucking brown, red, orange. It just... Basically, what makes me upset, besides, these companies dropping the fucking ball as far as their deep tones, it should not be a Black-owned cosmetic company's responsibility to fill in the missing pieces, the missing colors. It should not be a Black-owned brand's job or their responsibility. Sorry, I should say their responsibility to try to step it up and provide for everyone and set an example. Like, it's infuriating because it's like, why are Black-owned brands the only ones that cater to Black skin tones? There is no excuse. Absolutely none. There is no excuse for all these drugstore brands and all these other, claim to be prestige brands. There's no excuse to have a limited color range. Juvia's Place is a relatively recent brand. I want to say like the last maybe, I don't even know, like maybe the last 6 years or something. Like they're still relatively new as far as, how long they've been around. And like, if I remember correctly, when they launched, they had their concealers and it was a wide shade range. They came out the gate swinging. And, they hit a home run right away as far as their shade range because they understood their clientele. As a Black-owned brand, they appreciated what they were doing. Sorry, I was checking the time. It's so disheartening and frustrating to see just the absolute lack of effort on these certain brands' parts. And I say that because my boss told me a story. Not to throw her under the bus, but my boss told me a story that there is a relatively new brand that just came to Ulta. I won't say the name of the brand because I'll be real, I can't remember it, but if I did remember it, I would put them on blast for the bullshit that I'm about to say. But basically, there was a conference call with all the managers with a representative of this, company that is new to Ulta. And one of the managers proceeded to inquire why their shade range was so limited. Where are the deeper tones? Why do you only have 10 shades? Like, so on and so forth. Basically, they were saying, when are you going to expand? What are you doing? You're not providing deep tones. And the representative, basically, her response was, oh, well, 10 shades is pretty good. Maybe as time goes on and we expand as a company, maybe then we'll, really put our focus into making more shades. What? Not only are you apparently proud of your limited, non-inclusive shade range, but you're basically saying, oh, it's not important right now. We'll get to it. We'll get to the deeper tones. We'll get to the... Like, are you fucking joking? Like, I just heard this story secondhand, but I was still like, it skeeved me out. That's the best way to put it. Seeing women with, or sorry, anyone who wears makeup, seeing people not be able to find their shade. Like, imagine for a second, say say you're pale like I am. When you're pale and a brand doesn't necessarily have your color, you can take a light shade and a medium shade and mix them together. Like, you can mix shades. And a lot of different tones, deep tones, you can't necessarily do that. Like, if they don't make your color, you're fucked. And like, that's extremely frustrating and very difficult to deal with. Like, imagine being in the shoes of someone with a specific deep skin tone, and you have tried everything. You've looked everywhere. And all you can find are these light-skinned red browns that wouldn't match you in a million years because your tone is either deeper or neutral or whatever. I am sick and tired of black skin tones being given the short end of the stick when it comes to foundations. There is no excuse in this industry. There is no reason why, there's no reason why I should have to take a black client and direct them towards a specific black-owned brand because they're the only ones that could possibly have their color. There's no excuse for that. Like, Juvia's Place, like, they're just, the standards for that brand are so high and they reach it almost every time. And, they it shouldn't be the responsibility of a black-owned brand to be the only ones to provide for black skin tones. It should be an industry standard at this point. It is 2023, and you're telling me you can't sprinkle in like 6 more shades to your fucking collection? You're telling me that, only black-owned brands care about black skin tones and really providing the inclusivity that they need. That is disheartening, aggravating, and at the end of the day, it's kind of fucked. Like I said, there is no excuse. It's not like, Maybelline is this poor, starting company, they don't have enough money to make more shades. Like, sorry. I just don't understand. And helping that woman today really, really put it into perspective for me. It was eye-opening because for the first time, I realized just a giant red flag for, like I said, and it's not just the drugstore brands. Some of the prestige brands are like that too. They don't consider deeper skin tones. They don't consider, whether, regardless of race, I should just stick to skin tones, but why is it? Why? There's no excuse. There's really not. I felt truly disheartened today. I was happy that I'm happy that we got her color. And, like I said, Juvia's Place really came through. Thank God for Juvia's Place. Otherwise, I have no idea what I would have done for this woman. Absolutely none. I would have to go get my manager or one of the other PBAs. I would have to, send her in somebody else's direction because I wouldn't know what to do if it weren't for Juvia's Place and their shade range. I would have been fucked in that situation, and that poor woman would not have found a foundation shade for her. And, like, it's just extremely frustrating for me. Because, like, put yourself in these people's shoes for a second. Imagine going to a makeup store or a drugstore, whatever, and there are shades for like every shade of white person. Every light or pale skin tone has a shade, or at least something close. But your shades, the shades that cater to you, are non-existent. Or the only deep tones are, medium red brown. Like, that's not deep. That is not a neutral. That is not a deep. It's nothing. Like, these brands are giving these people nothing to work with. And, it's just one of those things where it's like, at the end of the day, the brand itself doesn't give a fuck. Because they're still making plenty of money. They don't give a fuck about making more shades. Because, it's expensive to make more shades. Fuck you. Spend the money. Do the testing. Try to figure out the colors. There's no excuse at this point in time for there to not be enough of a shade range when Black-owned brands are like above and beyond. As far as, I keep saying Black-owned brands. I'm not super familiar with Beauty Bakery's products. I have to look more into it. I should say specifically Juvia's Place. Juvia's Place is godsend for everybody. Like I said, the shade range, incredible. Their formulas, beautiful. The packaging, gorgeous. It's just, it shouldn't be the responsibility of a Black-owned brand to be the only ones that cater to the true meaning of inclusivity. It shouldn't be that way. A Black individual or a deep-toned individual should not have to specifically seek out a Black-owned brand because nobody else has anything for them. There's no reason for that. There's no excuse. There's nothing. These companies have no excuse. Absolutely none. I obviously there is more to it than what I understand or what I can explain. I'm sure this is, a deeply rooted problem as far as the standards of beauty go, as far as, consideration of Black skin tones. It's just every brand. It's red brown, red brown, red brown, red brown, maybe one dark, deep black tone. Like, maybe. Like, I know, I think it's Maybelline Superstay. They have, like, a very dark shade. But the rest of them are red-brown. Regardless of what brand you look at, if you're going drugstore, you're going to get red-brown. And I just, I sat there, and not only was it frustrating trying to, help this woman, because her tone, her shade was almost nowhere to be found between, um, her neutral tone and, like I said, she wasn't light skinned, but she wasn't super deep either. She was like somewhere in the middle with a neutral base. And there was fucking nothing for her except for Juvia's Place. That was it. In the whole fucking store. One brand. It's fucked up. And I try to picture it as like, imagine I go into a store and, they don't have pale shades. Or they have one and it's like not at all the right shade. Like, I would be upset. I'd freak out. I would give up. I would be, my approach to makeup would be completely different if they didn't have shades for me. So how do you think, these deep-toned individuals feel? Oh, I can't buy a foundation because there are none for me. Nobody should have to feel that way. It's fucking makeup. It's essentially skin-safe paint, if you really think about it. So if you can spend the time, as a company, if you can spend the time making 15 pale shades, and then you pull through with 5 deep shades, or 5 shades catering to, whether it be Black individuals or, and anybody with a deeper, like medium to deep tone. Like, you're just fucked. And I don't logically understand. And it's been in my head for hours. I had work like this morning and early afternoon. It's like 9 p.m. now. I have to get it out of my system. I have to rant because it's fucking infuriating. And I witnessed it firsthand for like the first time. Because I was running around trying to find this woman's shade. And it took a powerful Black-owned brand to provide it for her. It shouldn't have to be that way. It should not be a Black-owned brand's responsibility to cover those shades. It is the right thing for them to do. And it is logical because it's a Black-owned brand, so they understand how important a larger shade range is. But what the fuck is the excuse with these other brands? Like I said, Maybelline, where are you? L'Oreal, what the fuck? NYX, what are you doing? I'm just genuinely disheartened, and, sorry, there's a plow outside, it's snowing. But there's truly no excuse in 2023 for deep-toned, dark-skinned individuals to have to resort to, a Black-owned brand, or, even just relying on one brand. Like, what is that? What is the excuse that these fucking brands, these mainstream older brands, what is their fucking excuse? I will give L'Oreal some credit. They did release some new shades for their True Match formula. I think they also changed the packaging, unless I'm mistaken. I will have to double check, but I did notice there are some new shades for True Match. I don't know if it's the original formula or, like I said, maybe they changed the packaging. It's in kind of like a square bottle as opposed to the little round one that it's always in. Um, but like I guess I'll toss them a bone with that. But again, like sure, you have four deep shades compared to like 10 light ones. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. And I guess I'll just keep toting and preaching Juvia's Place to people because Juvia's Place seems to be the only brand that has their fucking shit together as far as a shade range. For all of their face products, the concealer, both types of foundation, powders, they have their shit together and it's like nobody else does. I keep saying it, but like I said, there is no reason for it to fall on a black owned brand's shoulders to be the only ones to be considerate and aware and just, when they say inclusive, they fucking mean it. And all these other brands saying inclusive this, inclusive that. Fuck you. You're lying. You're lying to customers. You do not have a good shade range. You don't. I just. I guess long story short, I definitely had a perspective shift today. As I said, I was aware of the unfairness of certain shade range brand or certain brands shade range. I was aware of the, lack of effort and, but I guess today I truly, when coming face to face with the color matching issue, I truly understood how bad it really is. Like, it's abysmal. The fact that, aside from one or two brands, like, these deep skinned individuals can't even buy makeup that they want to buy. Like, let's say hypothetically, a customer doesn't like Juvia's Place or the formula doesn't work with their skin or something. What are they going to do then? What if they, like I said, the woman I helped today, she specifically wanted the Maybelline Fit Me, the matte one, because she really liked it. And I couldn't help her. I couldn't find her shade because everything was fucking red brown. No neutrals, no truly deeps, nothing deeper than a fucking red brown. And I just, like, what are these people supposed to do? Again, thank God for Juvia's Place, but, it shouldn't fall on their shoulders. It shouldn't be that, deep-skinned people can only shop black-owned brands. It shouldn't fucking be that way. And it's just really bad. It's really bad. Today was the first day I truly realized how bad it is. It's bad. It's abysmal. It's pathetic. These brands have no excuse for not meeting an industry standard that should constantly exist. If Juvia's Place can do it, and again, they're not an older brand, they are newer. I don't know how new, which is my own fault, but like I said, when they launched, they came out the gate swinging for the fences. And they did a fantastic job. They're doing a fantastic job. They are a fantastic brand. And thank God they exist, because you know, I feel for people sometimes in this particular subject matter. Because again, imagine, they make shades for all these other people and they never make shades for you. Like, wouldn't that affect, or could possibly affect, the way you look at yourself, or, cause you to complain about your skin tone, or, it shouldn't have to be that way. And that's the short version of this 40-minute fucking video. Like I said, guys, today was an eye-opener for me, and I am so glad that I was able to help that woman. I am so glad I took the time to not give up after multiple failures of swatching, multiple brands failing her by not having a close enough shade to her skin. At least Juvia's Place was there. At least there was a Black-owned brand that holds themselves to a high, proud standard that these other brands just don't seem to want to be fucking bothered with. So, shop Juvia's Place, please. If you normally cannot find your skin tone in all these other drugstore brands, check out Juvia's Place. The prices are reasonable, middle of the road. The color range is fucking rad. Just like I said, get color matched in the store. Do not trust the pictures on the Ulta app. Don't trust them. They're not accurate. Go to the store and get color matched. Because you'll be happy. Because they will have your skin tone. They will have your shade. Maybe you might have to mix 2 shades together, but I don't know. But I just know that at least you're a step closer than every other fucking brand that pretends to cater to you when in reality it doesn't. Shop Juvia's Place.